All right. We are live and we'll be starting in only a few minutes. Live and we'll be starting in only a few minutes. Live and we'll be starting only a few minutes. All right. Let's see. Okay, so we are live and ready to go. There was an echo in the beginning there. I had the other window open because I wanted to make sure the audio was working this time. Last time it wasn't. So here we are at 6:30 p.m. As you can see, we have this Xbox, but it's not just an Xbox. It's also me, Ryan. My name's Ryan. I'm the admissions manager at Origin Code Academy, and I'm hosting tonight's webinar. It's our career night. And at the end of this night, I will be giving away this Xbox. All right. So we have 8 people registered, and I am going to wait just a couple more minutes because it is 6:30 exactly. I want to make sure our registries are aboard and ready to go because we're going to be giving that thing away at the end of this. Each of our registered members has been assigned a number, and we're going to be raffling off the Xbox at the end of this Career Night webinar. And we're using a random number generator in order to do so. I'm going to repeat everything I've just said one more time because I want to make sure that we do have people live and available. And I'll explain that in one more second. So what I'm going to do tonight in hosting this webinar is let you know basically what it says. We're going to go over what it's like to become a software engineer. What's the job market like in San Diego? What do you need to do, and how Origin Code Academy can help you, okay? So I'm going to be sharing a slideshow with you. You will be viewing my screen. I'm going to do a screen share in just a moment, and you'll be able to see the slideshow that we have. I'm just going to go through that, having a discussion about all those points, and then at the conclusion, I will be raffling off the Xbox to our lucky 8 registrars, registrars, whatever we're going to call them. So with that said, actually, we do have 3 viewers online. I'm going to go ahead and share that. So we have 8 people who have registered for the webinar. For privacy reasons, I'm just going to say their first name. We have Johnny, Gracielle, Marks, Kyle, Rick, Dante, Alfredo, and Evodio. I have assigned each of you a number between 1 and 8. And at the end of this, I'm going to let you know what your number is. And we're going to run the Google's random number generator. And if your number shows up 3 times in a row, you win the Xbox. But you got to come here to pick it up. So Johnny, Gracielle, Marks, Kyle, Rick, Dante, Alfredo, and Evodio. Stay tuned. At the end of this, one of you is going to win an Xbox. And I have it right here. So, are you ready to get started? Let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to do a screen share real quickly. And we're going to see the slideshow that we have, basically walking through the talking points. It's what we do in our live career nights. This one we're hosting so that you can watch from the comfort of your own home and don't have to beat traffic to come downtown just to see it. So with no further ado, all of you viewing, thank you very much. Our apologies for the technical issues last week. Apparently the microphone's working. Didn't work last time. So we figured it out and we're able to coordinate this evening. So Without further ado, I will begin. Again, my name is Ryan. I'm the admissions manager here. I oversee all admissions and applicants, as well as oversee all of the classroom environment and learning environment here in Origin Code Academy. So let me share my screen. Okay. Let's do this slideshow. Okay, so welcome to Origin Code Academy's Career Night. It is Wednesday, November 15th, 2017. So tonight, I want to walk through really who we are and why it's a really good time to be joining the software industry in San Diego in particular. So if those of you who are watching are interested in becoming a software developer, Origin Code Academy is probably your best bet in San Diego, all right? So I've already introduced myself. I kind of want to introduce our company's founder, Jeff Winkler. So Jeff Winkler started this company. Why? Well, initially he had come up with his own app, Gym Surfing. And it was actually pretty cool idea. But at the time, he didn't know anything about software development. He had to hire a developer to build the app for him. And everything went well. He sold it. And then he was thinking, sold it to ClassPass and was thinking, I paid this guy a bunch of money to build this app for me. I think it was like $30,000 or something like that. And he figured, well, I can go to a coding school and learn how to build an app myself for like 12,000 bucks. So that's what he did. He went to a code school in Florida and he paid, a little over $12,000, and he went through his coding boot camp. And at the end, he noticed that his classmates weren't really finding jobs. I mean, that was kind of the point, is I'm not going to go to a coding boot camp and spend a bunch of money so I can, have fun or learn some cool stuff. Really, I mean, it's a matter of how do I launch a career. So long story short, he realized that he didn't have the skill set to go out and get hired as a software developer in a local company, and really none of his classmates did. So rather than building another app, Jeff decided to build Origin Code Academy here in San Diego because he had one thing that he really wanted to focus on, which was finding jobs for the students. And so that's really what we're focusing on, is we're teaching you a specific skill set. In this case, it's heavy in JavaScript and React and MongoDB and Node and download the curriculum. But I mean, everything that we're teaching here now is directly relevant to what the local market's looking for, right? And so we're really designed to teach you not just the software development skills, but the right languages and also a lot of the soft skills of what you need to be able to perform on the job for a company in San Diego as a software developer. So we add a lot of technical skills as well as soft skills. And I'm going to explain those to you in much more detail and really explain how we do it. But I think I wanted to really introduce you guys this evening and explain why we do it. We're doing this because we want to help people launch a career. Jeff's vision is he wants every student to come through here, be able to start a newer, better career as a software developer, because it typically pays more and it's typically a cooler environment. So let's move on. Why? This is really what we find. I know myself in the past, previous jobs I've had, different things that have been going on in my life, I've never really been truly satisfied in the past towards what I was doing. I had a lot of different jobs. I'm sure a lot of people have. It's typically, we're seeing that people are lacking something. Like, why do you want to make a career change into software development? Well, as Oprah seems to say here, you get more money and everyone gets more money. That is typically the case. Right now, we know in San Diego, the average starting salary for a software developer as a junior level, beginning level, is around like 65,000. Our website, origincodeacademy.com, actually gives some more details on that on our website and our FAQ page. If you check that out, it lets you know. However, we typically trust Indeed, and we look at Indeed.com. Most people are posting jobs there. posting salaries. They're a pretty reliable source. And that's typically around where our students are landing initial jobs. And that's a typical salary starting out, right? So finances is something that a lot of people are lacking. Um, Especially in San Diego, it's a really expensive place to live, right? There's other things that we might be lacking, like health and healthcare. I've had jobs in the past that didn't have any healthcare benefits. There's relationships. There's just driving a purpose in life. That's really kind of a cool thing about software. There's a purpose to what you're doing. You're not just going to work and putting in time and collecting a little paycheck. I mean, you're creating, making an impact on the world. Every piece of software you build, whether it's helping create self-driving cars or innovations in healthcare and saving lives with technological devices that can track our health, even writing the software that helps us order pizzas online. It's changing the world, and everything that we're looking at right now is turning into software. So there's typically a lack of something in our life that a new career in software development can provide because it's the future. It's where everything's going. So what's the opportunity? Well, on average, we've calculated, and we've searched online. It's not just us. We have looked at a lot of different Gallup polls and other resources to show that typically you see a 64% increase in income when you become a software developer. Actually, I think that figure there is from Course Report because really, I mean, still salary I mentioned, which is so that a few years down the line you're earning more money. Why? Because you're getting better. You're working and you're earning because you're producing something that's changing the world. You don't even really need to have any experience. That's also the cool thing about right now. 10 years from now, that might be completely different. Right now, you don't need experience. You just need to know how to learn this, right? Coming into Origin Code Academy, we don't have coding tests. We don't require you to have a certain knowledge. We can take you from zero to hero, as I like to say. But I mean, we can teach you the basic fundamentals. By the time you finish, you're able to build a lot of cool stuff. I mean, a lot of cool stuff. And I'm going to explain more in detail what that will be. But I mean, building some cool stuff, that's going to get you a job. And again, software is eating up the world. Everything that we're doing now is software. So in some cases, I have people that will come in on a tour and they'll kind of ask me like, what really is coding? Like, what's code? Well, code is a language that tells computers what to do. Your smartphone isn't really that smart. There were just a lot of smart people who built it, from the hardware but also the software. Code is language that tells computers what to do, whether it's a website, a mobile app, your car. Most of you, if you're driving a car made in the last 10 years or so, um, it's got a lot of software running in it. The engine relies on that. A lot of it relies on software. So it's where everything's going. And it's a great time right now as it's still relatively new. A good time to get in because at this point, you don't need to have experience. You just need to put in the work and you can do it. And these two images here are actually kind of funny. They kind of show the two states of every programmer, so to speak. So in one case, like you solve a problem, you create something, you're just like, oh my God, I'm a god. I've created something from nothing. And then there's other times where you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. And that's the case whether you're a first day student or you've been doing this for 20 or 30 years. There's always a case where there's something new. It's always changing. It's hard to be an expert because there's always opportunity to learn more and get better. So that even if you're starting now with no experience, it's a good time because there's a lot of new stuff out there that no one's an expert on. So that's typically the kind of feeling that people will have. But ultimately, I hope that these few points I've made have at least started to convince you that it's a really good industry to get into. So this is a little blurb. It's from 2015, but really it hasn't changed a lot. it's just giving you an idea. Like, what's your average local tech wage in San Diego versus something that's non-tech? Um, the numbers speak for themselves. I think it's a significant gap between people working in tech and people not. So, are there really jobs out there? I get this question a lot. I talk with people all day, every day, right? I handle admissions. I also oversee the classroom and everything, but primarily I talk with people because we have people calling in and asking a lot of questions. We have tours and everything. Definitely schedule a tour to come in and see our class and come talk with us. But that's a question we get is like, are there really a lot of jobs out there? Yeah, there are. This is a news article here, just mentioning that it's from last year, but GE CEO wants every new hire to learn this skill. They want everyone at GE to learn some software programming. There are daily requests from San Diego companies looking for new software developers. In some cases, our CEO, Jeff Winkler, will get a text message or an email from time to time from local employers saying, hey, Jeff, I need 20 people who are really good JavaScript developers. How many can you send me? There's a lot of companies in San Diego, and it's not just GE and Amazon and Google and Yahoo and Facebook and all that. There's a lot of companies that are smaller, medium-sized companies that build a lot of the software that you use on a daily basis, and they're growing. They're doing well. It's projected there's going to be over 1 million unfilled positions in the United States by 2020, and that was a projection from last year. It's probably going to go up because there's never enough people to fill the gaps. There's a lot of code that needs to be written, a lot of software that needs to be developed and put together, and there's just not enough people to do it. There are a lot of the big companies are starting to require people to learn software development and learn to be programmers. So either way, it looks like the world's going to be turning that way in the future. I almost liken it to the sense that over 100 years ago, literacy was pretty low. Not a lot of people could read and write. But if you could, hey, I got a job for you. You can read and write? Awesome. It's the same thing today in the 21st century with software development. You can code? Oh man, I got a job for you. And it doesn't really matter what I do. I might be a farmer. We honestly have a family friend who is an accountant and owns a company where she literally just delivers groceries from the farm to people's houses. And it's a huge company, and she needs software developers to help her run and organize things because apps and everything, ordering online, all that kind of stuff, it needs to be developed, it needs to be managed. It's everywhere. I honestly think that if 100 years from now, if not less, everybody is going to be computer literate in the sense of writing software. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's too optimistic or way off key. It's just growing and growing and growing, and right now is at a point where it's not that hard compared to previously to learn how to code, and the demand is so high that as long as you can do the work, you've got a great career waiting for you. So, with that said, let's talk about Origin Code Academy. I actually have here a Origin Code Academy alumni and current software developer, Christian.
Hey everybody, Christian McFarland. I work for a company. I've been working for a year now for a software company that does real estate management tracking. It's sort of like a CRM for real estate agents. And I'm actually working in Buffalo, New York, but living in San Diego. So I work about 2,000 miles away from my computer and just sign in remotely every day. And it pretty much can't get any better than that, in my opinion. I don't know. I wake up and I'm pretty happy with what I do every day. Yeah, I don't know.
So you work for a real estate management company as
Yeah.
a software developer, and you work in New York, but you live in San Diego, California. I mean, could you literally just go anywhere and continue to work as long as you have the right time?
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Thanksgiving's coming up, and I'm actually going to Florida, and I don't have to take any vacation days because I can just work from home and pretty much work from anywhere as long as I got my laptop.
so you could go to Spain for a month and lay on the beach, and no one would miss you because you'd still be working.
That's right. That's right.
That's incredible. Well, Christian, we're going to ask Christian, well, I'm going to on your behalf, ask him a little bit about his experience, kind of walk you through what we do here, and I might, ask him a few more questions, and then ask him kind of what his experience was going through the job hunt as well, and everything like that. Um, that's gonna come as we get to that part in the presentation. But right now, really, like, who are we? So I gave you the introduction to Jeff Winkler, who founded this under the entire premise that we're going to teach people to code and get them jobs. So, what are some of the features of what we have? We have teachers with experience. This is one of the most surprising things I think that you experience on a tour here is when I introduce you to our instructors and say they're not academics. Your college teacher who have all these degrees in teaching. They're actual software developers, and they range in experience from 6 years. One of our instructors, who's been doing it for 6 years, working as a software developer in companies for 6 years. And our other extreme at the end is one of our instructors has been doing this for 36 years. So they haven't been teaching college courses. They've been working in the industry. And we've coaxed them to come over here because we have a new challenge. Hey, write our coursework for us, help with our software and still develop, and teach people. It's an incredibly rewarding experience. I was a teacher myself for many, many years. And when you have that kind of impact on people's lives, it's incredible, especially when it's something like this, where you're literally teaching someone a skill set and teaching them how to get a new career, which is going to have all the benefits I mentioned earlier. I mean, typically much higher pay, much better work experience, that sort of thing. So they actually can give you advice outside of just coding as far as like, what should I do in a job interview? Like, what is it like working in these companies? Like, what's the day-to-day life? Like, that's a huge benefit to have. So it's not someone who's just been in a classroom for a bunch of years and doesn't really know what the workforce is like. We have the workforce here training you. Our placement rate is really good. Essentially, if you complete the course and you work really, really hard and you keep at it, you will get a job. Our placement rate teeters and totters and changes basically, but ultimately, in the last 2 years, we've got nearly 80% of the people jobs. So it's a matter of, are you putting the time into it? Are you continuing to code and applying to jobs outside of the job fair, which I'm going to explain in a minute? It's a huge part of it, but you're already getting the skill set, and we do actually literally hold your hand and open doors for you to go in on interviews. We work harder than absolutely anybody. We have a dedicated team member to assist with job placement. That's Jeff Winkler. So Jeff's the CEO, founder of the company. He also spends all of his time meeting with employers, talking with companies, making sure relationships are great, knowing who's hiring, also making sure that we are teaching the right skills. The last point here, real-time curriculum, that's a huge thing, is making sure that what we're teaching you is up to date on what you're going to need to land a job. So when you finish the coursework, you finished it in the proper languages that are being hired for. So you've got experience in what they're looking for, right? And of course, interview prep is a huge part of it. We've actually incorporated that into being every single week in the classroom. We have interview prep, interview questions, a lot of practice for that. Towards the end of the course, we do actually hire an HR consultant to come and do mock interviews with you and help you prepare for the job interviews that will happen when you graduate in the job fair, which I'm going to explain a little bit further. But basically, it's teaching you all the hard skills and the soft skills you need to be successful as a software developer. So, actually, Christian, I'm going to ask you this question. Do boot camps really work?
Hey, they did for me. Yeah, I don't have a computer science degree or actually had no experience in the field beforehand for the 3 months at Origin. So I'd say they work pretty well. I'm coming up on a year and just had my review, which went really well. And got a bump in my salary, and it couldn't be going better.
And you work remotely.
Yeah, that's the icing on the cake for sure.
Well, I mean, what are boot camps really doing? I mean, there's a skill gap. I mean, there's charts. Check out the charts. Like, there's some numbers. I mean, there's just not enough people. it's really a matter of supply versus demand. Yeah, a lot of the bigger companies really want to hire people with a computer science degree, come in on an internship, and go from there. Or they want to hire someone experienced with a computer science degree. Yeah, a lot of the big companies, but they're changing their mind because they still can't find enough people. Amazon's just moved into San Diego recently. They're projected to open a gigantic facility in Chula Vista. They're not going to be able to attract enough people with experience and degrees to fill all the roles. It's just not going to be possible. It's not scalable. There are not enough people with degrees and experience in the field to fill all these positions. So that's what's going on. There's a skill gap, there's supply and there's demand. And that's why we have to teach in demand skills. They should be doing this in the universities. When I talk with people I know are getting a 4-year degree in computer science, they're learning C. I'm taking a C++ class. Christian, have you ever worked in C++?
I haven't personally. No.
All right.
You know?
Well, I mean, it's out there, but what's it gonna happen if you know a little bit about a language that no one's really working in right now? It's really a big difference. You want to look at what languages are necessary, what are people hiring for? And I mean, unfortunately, it can still be kind of confusing because a lot of the companies will advertise tons of language. I want experience in all these different things. And I don't think it's really realistic. You want to really narrow down to see what is it they're actually hiring for and what would you actually work in, right? But ultimately, I mean, this kind of thing happens every day. Whenever you can, if you go subscribe to Google News or anything like that, put out like the search terms for like software jobs or tech jobs or something like that. You're always going to see something, if not in the news every day, at least every week, somewhere there's like a crisis. There's not enough people to fill all the jobs. And the colleges aren't doing enough. And we actually do have computer science majors come to us after they get their degree because they need real world experience. All we're doing is real world experience. So why do we teach what we teach? Here's the big thing. Why do we teach SQL and MongoDB and database languages? Well, it's kind of the most in demand in San Diego. This blue number here, I hope you guys can see it on your computer. It's pretty clear on mine, but it's very important. It's light blue color here. Half the companies in San Diego think database languages are very important. And 27.7% think they're somewhat important, and smaller number, 22.3%, think they're not important at all. Well, that's a big part of what we teach. You know what we really teach? JavaScript. That's also highly in demand. If it's not very important, it's pretty important. After that, we do have C and C++ and C Sharp. I think most of this very important would be C Sharp. And after that, there's some Python related stuff, some Java, PHP, Ruby on Rails. That's not even like really here. So this is really why we teach what we teach. We have the database languages, we have JavaScript, and we do actually provide C Sharp curriculum once you're done, because we have had students hired for C Sharp roles. They took a C Sharp coding test, and then they worked in JavaScript for like a year. They're just like, why did you guys do more JavaScript? Like, that's just far more what we're doing. So we want to make sure that you've got the skill set ready for the job market. And this is already a little bit outdated, but we've been seeing a lot. Well, I mean, React, that really launched in July, right? Mm-hmm. That's when we saw employers starting to hire for React positions. And so that's why we've added that. It's a highly important thing.
Yeah, and that kind of falls in the JavaScript.
Exactly.
Also,
because JavaScript is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really focusing on the in-demand languages. And the other thing too is we're a little bit more narrow than in some curriculum I do see around in different areas where they really are teaching you a lot. And I kind of worry about knowing a little bit about a lot of things versus like, I know JavaScript really well and I'm quite well versed in databases. That's the demand that we keep hearing is, hey, I need people who are really good at JavaScript. We haven't heard anyone who needs Python yet. So here are a small sample of the companies that our students have gone working for. Christian, do you see your company in there anywhere?
I do, yeah. Landtrax, there it is.
Nice. This isn't everyone because I'd have to make the icons really small to fit all the companies. Although I have tried to highlight like HP and PlayStation because people really like that. They're big companies. North of Grumman, we've had a couple of people go there. But a lot of these companies, if you don't know who they are, don't feel bad. They actually wrote a lot of the software that you use on a daily basis. You just don't really know it. Fun fact, Mindera, they've hired 3 of our students, and they are at our job fair last week. I love their pitch when they opened at the job fair because they said, if you haven't heard of us, it's okay. If you've ever ordered a pizza online, we wrote that software.
Wow.
Yeah, Christian just went, wow. And I said, wow, myself, because seriously, I've ordered how many pizzas online? I don't even know. But, it's not like, hey, let's order a pizza and Domino's, brought to you by Mindera. You don't really know about a lot of these companies, but they end up creating a lot of the cool stuff that we use or we see on a daily basis. And in a lot of different industries. I mean, like with you, Christian, you're in the real estate management. I mean, you're not a realtor, though.
No, not at all. But I get to learn about a little bit about a new field.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost doesn't really matter what industry it is because we have students that are working in digital marketing or like in real estate or in like um, working in like what does Dovetree do? They're like a anyways, I'm trying to think of like what's a warehouse. Oh, okay. So like a warehouse inventory software. I mean, it's in everything that we use, regardless of what we're doing. A lot of these companies are making it happen, and cybersecurity as well. Cybersecurity is growing, especially with the ransomware, and then there's a recent Equifax and all this stuff going on. Cybersecurity. We did have a cybersecurity company here last week at our job fair, looking to hire a lot of people because it's really necessary. So, anyways, these are a small, brief example of some of the companies that our former students are working at right now.
And just one thing, Ryan. A lot of these companies are integrating with each other. And so as new technology is developed, one company puts out a product and, oh, we need somebody to integrate this into our product. You know what I mean? And so you're working, or I actually find myself working a lot with other junior developers. And it's really a growing community and it's a growing need. It's like, I mean, it's cool too. You know what I mean? But, yeah, and with the integrations, that there comes a need for the security also because that opens up a lot of holes. You know what I mean? Giving passwords and keys and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, see where you're going with that.
Thank you. That adds a lot to it. I mean, because basically what you're saying is there's a lot of work out there.
Exactly. Everyone wants, if you have to touch 2 buttons to do something, they need somebody to make it narrow it down to just 1 button. I want to make it easier and easier and just the connections faster and faster. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a big point is typically if you have like some app or something and it's running slow, like you'll complain about it. But imagine what it would take to fix that. Like what you guys are seeing right here, this is actually a PowerPoint presentation. So I use PowerPoint. And in order to put these images on this screen, it was really annoying for me. You want to know why? I had to click insert photo from my browser. Then I had to open up my browser, open up a file, open up the image, and then I had to click it to make it appear here. That to me right now is really a lot of needless effort because there's other programs that I'll use where I just drag and drop, drag and drop. I don't have to open anything or access anything. It's on this part of the screen, drags and drops into another. So I know Microsoft, don't feel bad if you're listening to this. I don't mean anything personally. It's PowerPoint, but God, that was like extra seconds of my life that I'll never get back. And I know that there's going to be someone who's going to make it better, who's going to redesign it and make it a lot better. So that's a good point. I mean, there's just so much that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. There's so much that you can do. It's just remarkable.
That's right.
Well, you're probably on our YouTube channel right now watching. Even if you're on our page, it's linked to our YouTube channel. This is where I want to let you know about the YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel. And this is really important to address. So, are you smart enough to be a software developer? So, I get asked this question all the time. Christian,
Hmm.
are you smart enough to be a software developer?
I am, and it's not, and I think that's not even a crazy point, or like I worked for it. You know what I mean? Basically, I put in the effort, and that's all it took. I mean, it's if you can see, I don't know if you can do a puzzle, then you can code.
Do you have to be really good at math?
You do not. You think about this. You're using a computer, and what is pretty much the first basic function of a computer? It's a calculator. If you ever you ever need to calculate something, you just kind of type it in, and yeah, that's one thing. I mean, it's it's about efficiency. It's about speed. It's kind of about I don't know. It feels like a superpower sometimes. Yeah. No, you don't have to be. Just gotta be. Just gotta work hard.
Yeah, because I mean that's the preconception. Sorry, that I always had because like I got one other member of my family who's a software developer. He was a math genius as a kid. He went to Stanford, studied computer science, and became a software developer in San Francisco. So I just figured, well, when I heard that, there's no way I could ever become a software developer because he's smart. He went to Stanford. That's the kind of people who become software developers. But no, it's not like that anymore. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, when everything you had to do, you had to draw from scratch and just do math all day. It's not really like that anymore. I mean, you weren't good at math, right?
No,
Because
but I
you just said that. I'm not assuming. I mean, were you like the star student in school?
absolutely not. No, but I grew up with a computer. You know what I mean? Back from signing up or signing onto the internet with dial-up and all that from then to we've seen the progression and we've had hands-on experience with it or I have my generation. I'm 25 years old by the way, but now with technology and it's pretty much just using what you use on a daily basis but going a level deeper, a little, but it's using the same basic components and the same basic technology that everyone else is using, just you're learning a little more in depth about it.
Well, I mean, what was your work experience prior to becoming a software developer?
Oh, great question. I was a customer service person, and even that involved. I was at a law firm, um, so took phone calls, kept records in a computer and stuff, but just Excel and like Outlook and a few basic programs. But even that relied heavily on the computer. And actually, now thinking about it, they could use a software program to help speed things up at the office.
And you could probably build it for them now.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too. Is I mean, I meet with probably between 3 and 6 people per day. And that's the other question. Is like, well, I've only ever worked in retail, or like, well, I'm an accountant now, but I don't know anything about computers really. Or I've been a truck driver. I've been working in the restaurant industry for 10 years. Um, People of all different backgrounds, and it's like, I don't have experience working in computers. That doesn't really matter, does it?
No, that's even my boss. My current boss, he actually told me he's had several jobs before this, and it's kind of a tool that you can add to your skill set, and you can take it into if you're interested in hiking in the outdoors, you can go apply it at REI in the outdoors company. You know what I mean? Like take it and combine it with another thing that you're passionate about or that you enjoy. And I don't know. It's it's the digital age. I don't know, and it's like just beginning sort of, and there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And the problems that need to be solved.
Yeah, I mean, something that I've been saying, and let me know if you agree with this or not, but people have asked me, like, can I do it? Am I capable of doing it? I like to say, well, if you can work on a computer and you can read and you can write and you can think, and you're not making enough money right now, you should probably be a software developer. You probably can. What do you think?
I think that's right. Sounds about lines up with what I was thinking.
So it's really more about like learning languages than just learning how to solve math problems, right?
That's right. It is, and I've heard that comparison made a lot to learning a new language. Um, and I've taken years of Spanish in high school and whatnot, and I actually spent some time in a foreign country and learning a language and or Spanish actually, and it's different. It's not as complicated. I wouldn't say it's not as because you're not speaking and you're not there's no dialect and there's no tone in your voice and or anything, but it's comparable. And if you speak English, it's English. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's a pretty much. Um, and as software developers add on to the basics that when computing began, however long ago, several decades ago. Yeah, it started all out as zeros and ones, and a little more complicated. But now it's almost very readable in the English language. Does that make sense, Ryan?
Yeah,
It's becoming a little more easy to understand, I believe.
yeah. Because I mean, like when you talk with my stepdad was he worked in software in the '60s,
Okay.
um, and now that's some dinosaur stuff. I mean, it was punch cards, and you had to get the punch card right, and you had to select the right thing, and you had to go through, and it was all ones and zeros, and to do the simplest action, it took all this work. And even like with Michael, our most senior guy here, he's been doing this since 1981. When he compares it to the beginning, it's like, yeah, if we needed to run like a bug fix, we had to write software for that. We had to do everything from scratch. Whereas now there's a lot of open source, there's a lot of stuff out there. So I mean, you can read it and learn about it, and then employ it yourself, right?
That's right.
So it's not as hard. Maybe 30 years ago you had to be a genius about it, but nowadays it's like, hey, you can read and write. Just going to learn how to read and write some different stuff, but you can do it.
Hmm.
And that's where like Jeff always loves to say it's similar to discovering the light bulb, more similar to discovering the light bulb versus math, like when you're writing something. So it's not I don't have to solve these math problems, and there's only one way to get the answer. I mean, that's how he always liked to explain it. Was it's more like Edison invented a light bulb. He had no idea what he was doing. So there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of failing, and that's where. And I'm going to explain this about the class in a minute here. But that's where like our classroom is the opposite, or like inverted math class from high school. That's an analogy I like to use because in math class, I remember it was horrible because I would sit in class and the teacher would talk about math and then he'd say, here's your homework. You can go home and try everything I talked about today. But if you make a mistake, you screw up and you fail my class. Whereas here, it's the opposite. Hey, you want to learn the overview stuff? You can do that here. You can do that at home. But here, it's like, let's just actually code all day long and let's break stuff. Let's make mistakes. Let's fail a bunch of times because then you know if this doesn't work, I'm not going to do it again. And you're going to keep trying, trial and error, probably not 1,000 times, but several times, and then you figure out what works. It's like, ha! I am now that super ninja magical person that you sometimes feel like when you get a computer to do something right. Versus like, oh, I can't learn this perfectly because my math teacher, whatever, I failed. I got 7 right out of 10. Wow, you got 7 right out of 10. You're a genius. Good job. So how'd you miss the 3? Cool. Let's just figure out what you got to do differently there. So that's also where Jeff always likes to mention it's hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Because you can be super smart at this stuff. And if you don't work hard, it's not going to work out for you. We had a tour a little bit earlier. A guy came by and had him talk with the current students. Tell me if you agree with this, but he was saying like, yeah, uh, it's not like super easy, but it's not super hard. I just need to put the time in. And I know the more time I spend doing this, the better I'm going to be. And you don't want to do shortcuts and try to cheat and just copy paste stuff. You want to really learn it because if you really work hard, you can, consider yourself not a very smart person. And you can do this and be great at this just by putting the time and the hard work in. What do you think of that?
I think that's right. I'm not. There's probably some of you watching now that are that like to research this type of stuff on your own time and probably know more about history of computers and all that than I do, and I knew that there was a need for software developers, and that I wasn't making enough money at my job, and that I wasn't being challenged enough at my job. I was like, I could do this for 3 months. I could go in and focus every day and give it my best shot. And I'll tell you, that was really it. I mean, once kind of after that, the pressure was on to find a job, and then I'd say after that, after finding a job, the pressure was. I was like, it's a very supportive community. It's an encouraging. You were talking about the open source community earlier. Like these companies, they want to open it up. They want to expose it to as many people as they can, and get as many minds thinking about this stuff as they can, and see what kind of creative solutions they can come up with. And yeah, who knows? It could be any of you watching that's the next, comes up with the next great app, the next whatever, space B&B, when they have apartments in space. And I don't know. Yeah, it's cool times that we live in.
Right on. So that's, again, it comes down to, you really just need to be able to commit to do this. I mean, these are a few examples of people we've had. Like, our average age of students, typically between 25 and 35. We just had a student graduate who's 19. We have students in here in the late 50s who've gone through the program and found a new career. So, I mean, pretty much anybody. We've had UFC fighters, insurance salesmen, UCSD students, Motorola hardware, blackjack dealers. I've already mentioned, like, a lot of people from the restaurant industry, service industry, or like Christian, the customer service. Basically, you're doing whatever you're doing. It doesn't really matter, because you might work in software development in that same industry or something completely different. So, we have a few students who are currently working in real estate. They might end up going into the real estate industry like you on the software end, or something completely different. We had one student who his only experience in work was working in a Costco warehouse. He was hired right out of our boot camp because he understood inventories and how warehouses worked, and they needed someone to build an automation system for that. And now that's what he's overseeing, and he's doing great. Fantastic. So it really doesn't matter who you are or what you've done in work experience. It's really a matter of, like, why do you want to do this? For an easy way to make a lot of money, there's the lottery. But if you're really willing to put the time in, like Christian said, you put your as much work as you could. Took 3 months. You put your work in because you wanted a better career and a better future. It's worked out for you.
That's right.
And they can work out for anybody. It's just putting in the time and really wanting to make a difference and make a change in your life. So what's our why? Well, again, the whole reason Jeff started Origin Code Academy was he wanted to create a coding bootcamp that worked, where we taught you the necessary, relevant skill sets that you need to get a job. So that's all it takes. Success mindset. Don't be a quitter. Are you someone who's going to really commit to finishing something? Awesome, you can do this. And you just need the relevant skill set, which we provide, and then you're going to get a dream job. I mean, it's really all about how you think about it. It's for us, it's about retention and placement. So if you come here, we want you to stay. We want everyone to finish. We don't want anyone to give up because they think it's too hard. Just put the time in, put in some work. As long as you stay through the program, when you finish, you're going to have a better career when you finish. So for us, our focus is retention, keeping our students in, motivating you to finish, and then working with you until you get a job. I'm going to give more details on that, but we work with you until you find employment. With that said, though, we don't accept all applicants. It's on our FAQ page on the website. I just redesigned that earlier this evening, FYI. Have a look, FAQ page, guys. Spent all night on it. One of the questions is, do we accept everybody? No, we're not a place where you can just kind of come over and say, hey, yeah, cool, it's awesome, I want to start Monday, great. Well, we have a process, and I'll explain, of course, that towards the end. But we screen for quitters. I don't care what you've done in your past. If you've never had a job or you just graduated high school, like one of our recent grads, it doesn't really matter. It's just, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because you want to have a new career? You want to make your life better? You want to change your life? Then, yeah, you can do this. And you're the student that we want. We want you here if you are going to put in the time and put in the work because you want a better life. That's why we wake up and go to work. And for me, I've already been here 13 hours. I don't care. It's a matter of putting in the time, putting in the work. We want to help change people's lives. We want people to have a better future, a better skill set, so that you don't have to worry about, oh, I hate my job in the morning. I love my job. Do you love your job?
I love it.
We love our jobs. We freaking love our jobs. Every night I go to sleep, I'm like, I can't wait to go to work. On the weekends, I enjoy Saturday, but Sundays, I'm like, I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. It's cool. We like it because what we're doing is we're helping change people's lives. We're helping teach people to become software developers, helping them link up with a better future. And our students and our former students, Christian here, we love going to your job. Why?
It's the people. I love, I work with clients who aren't as tech savvy. They kind of rely on me in a way. I kind of feel important, and I don't know. I think everybody kind of wants that, but they come to me with problems that only I have the answers to, and it feels good. You know what I mean? To be able to explain something to somebody and help them understand this crazy tech thing that some people it's a foreign language to them, and it's totally new, and a lot of them actually just don't want to have anything to do with it. They're like, just give me the easy answer. Just can you explain this in English? And I don't know. It's a challenge, but it's fun, and it's exciting. People are pretty easygoing because they don't exactly know what they're talking about all the time, and it's like it's a very forgiving environment. I don't know. I could go on and on. It's just get to challenge myself and build cool stuff too. I don't know. I'm building cool stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And everything you're doing is, it's legitimate, purpose driven. You're literally helping, whether it's your individual clients or building software that's changing the world. There's a real purpose, there's real meaning behind what you do in the industry.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's saving those real estate agents. They don't have to do any hard work. Like, they don't have to check their emails as often now because we have a program that scans their email and sends relevant information where it needs to go, and they have it all stored on their own time. They can leave work on time and just look at their phone whenever they need to. I don't know. It's cool. It's a lot of people. Sure, there's mixed opinions. You know what I mean about people. Oh, people are always on their phones and social media and this and that. But as far as the business place goes and like the work, it's really speeding things up, and it's allowing things to get done a lot faster, and leave people with more time to spend with their family. Ideally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what machines are supposed to do. They're supposed to make our jobs a little bit easier, a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So, not to mention the cool work environments you have a lot of the time.
Oh yeah. There's a ping pong table in the office where I work.
Yeah. That's I noticed, like, in a lot of the companies, there's there's ping pong tables, foosball tables. There's catered lunches a lot, or like breakfast. Even like here, some of the space that we have. Like a mimosa breakfast. I don't drink the mimosas in the morning, thank you. But or like burrito day. How cool is that? Like, I wasn't even hungry, but I had like 5 burritos.
Right.
Couldn't help it. A lot of the offices have that environment that are just really relaxed. Or some people talk about how I have coworkers that wear pajamas. They bring their dogs to work. They have Nerf guns and have Nerf wars spontaneously. And it's a really fun environments. That's a big part of it too, is if you have a job that you don't really enjoy going into, all it takes is some time and commitment. You can have that job that is not just paying the bills a lot better and a lot more so, but you enjoy it. You enjoy what you do and you enjoy where you do it. And like you said, the people. So, what's the other question we have most commonly? This one. How would you pay for it? So our boot camp costs what pretty much most of them do cost, $12,500. We have financing options available. And if that's something you want to know about, definitely give me a call, email me, check it out on the website. We have a tuition page on origincodeacademy.com. Recently redesigned that one too. Just joking here. But no, we have the tuition page on origincodeacademy.com. Check that out. The financing options, if you're doing the full time, you don't have to make full payments until 2 months after you've finished. But then you ought to have a new job. So pay it off with a new salary, right? So if you want more details on that, check us out, origincodeacademy.com on the tuition page, or give me a call. The phone number is listed there as well. So also, it's a matter of like really thinking, okay, yeah, it's a chunk of money, sure, but it's learning versus paying for software. In a lot of cases, entrepreneur, by the end of our coursework, you can build pretty much anything you want. You want to build your own app? Cool, do it. It's really a matter of having that skill set that you need, and it's really a matter of also looking on the return on investment, right? So this funny little image here says 40,000% ROI, not enough. Well, what are we really looking to get out of this? I mean, ideally, yeah, you want to be able to put time into this. You want to really learn this and develop a new career. But for the most part, it's making more money too. Like the course report figure of 64% salary increase for a lot of people. That's what you want to think about it as. If you are able to make an extra $20,000 a year for the next 2 years, and then another $50,000 a year, and then basically get up to $120,000 a year salary within 5 to 6 years, is spending the money and good idea? It might be. We have a car analogy thing that we talk about, but I think I might. All right, you're probably curious what that means. So the idea is, if someone was going to offer you a job that pay you, let's say, $100,000, but you didn't have a car and you needed to buy a $12,000 car, would you figure out how to pay for the $12,000 car to get that job paying you $100,000? I would. So it's really a matter of, it's not a cost, it's a price. The cost is not doing this and just going back to your regular life. If you're super stoked on your career right now, awesome. That's really where you want to be. If you're not, it's worth it. So it's just a matter. Can you do this? Yeah. Are you willing to make the time for it? We have 12-week full-time program. We have a 24-week part-time. You can do night classes. Do you work nights? You can do morning part-time classes too. This is something that's new. So we have a way to work around your schedule if this is something you really want to do. We also have monthly start dates so that you can start this month. You can start next month. You're gonna be ready in February? Great, we have a start date in February too. So there is time to do this. You don't have to think of it as, oh, I have to quit my job and do what Christian did and a lot of folks did. It's like, I'm not gonna work and have no income for 3 months. That's absolutely an option, but it's not the only one. You can still work and do this. It's gonna take a little bit longer, sure, but the result's still the same. You're learning the skill set you need to launch a new career. You will still have a final project. You will still participate in the job fair. Even if you do it part-time, you will get the same result. So if you can't quit your job and devote 3 months solely to this, no problem. You can still do it. You'll still complete the final project, which is real software for a local company, and you'll still participate in the job fair, which we do every month, in which you're guaranteed FaceTime interview with local companies who are looking to hire people from our program. So there is time. We can literally work around your schedule. We have one student who works sometimes mornings, sometimes nights, comes in when he's not working, and it's still working out. So there is time. It's just, are you willing to make the time and put the time in? So how are we able to offer that? How can we have such a flexible schedule? How can we have part-time? How can we start every month? How does that work? Well, we're the world's first blended learning boot camp. That's right, the first. We have an article I posted on the Facebook page, so if you're not following our Facebook, please do. But I did post an article that was about that, giving more details with an interview with Jeff Winkler as well. But why, first of all, did we choose blended learning? So this is where my expertise comes in. So my background's in education. And I'm actually an expert in teaching and learning languages. I mean, I only speak like three, but I taught English as a second language, and I've taught Mandarin Chinese, which is my second language. And I used to do it most successfully in a blended learning environment. So here's a report that says it's great. Well, I know firsthand that it is. So blended learning is really the way education should be. Uh, Basically, it's part online, part in person, like half and half. It's not 100% in person teaching, it's not 100% online learning. So it's the best environment to really, really, really learn because ultimately what you're doing is you're learning by doing practical experience. I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's like a flipped classroom. So, I had a traditional teacher led learning for math in high school. That's why I'm bad at math. That's why I have a bunch of degrees in history and Chinese because I couldn't do math, right? Well, in math class, the teacher would talk about math, and then we'd go home and would practice math. It's the only time I had to practice it, and I had no one to help me. I would fail it because I couldn't figure it out, and I had no one to help me. And I'd go back to class, and oh, I'm sorry, I'm done. I have questions. Nope, sorry, we're already talking about the next topic. We're the opposite of that. How is our teaching conducted in our blended learning environment? It is one-to-one. The coursework is online. It is all our own, so it's 100% proprietary. Our instructors write it, so they can explain it. But how it works is come to class, log in, you have your lessons, your coursework, and we actually have lectures that are videos. You can watch them at home. Watch the videos at home, get the overview, then come to class to practice. That's the idea. So I had experience teaching English as a second language in the blended learning model. How it worked is you go online, you do your homework online at home, which would give you the basics. Then you'd come to class to practice speaking English, practice doing activities in English. It was phenomenal. I had never seen, in this case, they were high school students, progress in their language so quickly. So it's immersive, but you get like your basic overviews whenever you want it. But when you're in class, you get to actually practice and try it. So imagine you're practicing that homework stuff, but you're in class and I can't answer this homework question. Oh, well, the instructor's right here. I'm going to ask him and he's going to explain it to me and make sure that I understand the explanation because it's just me and the instructor going over the problem I can't solve. It's the instructor who knows me and understands how I learn and understands how to explain it to me, where he's not just giving me the answer, but he's explaining the steps and the process I need to go to figure out the answer on my own. That's why it works. That's also why we have monthly start dates, because you don't have to start the same day as everyone else. This is really good for software because it also somewhat models an office space. It's not like a typical classroom. We don't have academics with experience teaching but no practical experience talking at a group of students who all know the same amount of nothing, who all don't know as much as they do know. You can come in your first day on class here. There are students in the class who are way ahead of you in the coursework. And that's great because they can actually help mentor you as well. You can listen to them talk. You can pick up a lot of the terminology and how you talk about software that you're not going to get if everyone starts the same day as you. You've got other people who can help you. You have other people who can guide you through it. And once you've gotten through the program, a month, two or so in, you have new students starting, you get to mentor them too. And I can tell you as a former educator, the best way to learn is by teaching. The second best way to learn is by doing. And that's all you end up doing here is you literally write code all day long and you help others learn too. Our teaching's one-on-one. Also benefit of our online learning is that because it's your basic own pace for the first part of the coursework, if you're not able to make it to class today because you're sick or you can't make it, hey, traditional boot camp, sorry, you can't miss a day. Or you missed a day or two, it's like you've fallen too behind, you're out. Oh, but I'm sick. Oh, but my sister's getting married. Oh, but I had that vacation over the holiday and I really need to see my mom. Oh, traditional boot camp, you're out. Sorry. For us, take the coursework with you. That's okay. You can miss a day. You can miss a couple days. It's fine because you can still do your work at home or on the plane or at mom's house in New Hampshire or wherever that's going to be. And if you have a question, instant message the group. and someone will get back to you. Ideally, you want to be in class, though, as much as possible, because we have pair programming, which enables you to work with another student, and you get to do a little bit of code challenging, which prepares you for coding tests on the job interview. Also, other pair programming activities allow you to just basically get to know working with another person. A real software developer in a lot of companies, not all, but a lot, it's very collaborative. You're working with other people. So if you're doing this by yourself at home all the time, you might not get the benefits of working in pairs. Or mob programming, working in groups. So what is it like to work with 3 to 5 people and you're all writing software together? You have to have that experience if that's a job offer you have in the future. What if they ask you, hey, we love what you do. Have you ever, what's your experience working in groups? It's really important. That's why we finish with not just individual projects, but group projects as well. So you work through the coursework yourself. You go as fast as you want, or if you need a little bit of time, it's fine. We don't have any termination dates. So you don't have to have that stress of, oh my gosh, I have to finish this by tomorrow. You have your individual projects that you'll build, and then once you finish that, you go into group projects. At that point, you're almost done. But you're also going to learn far more in group projects than you would working individually, because you get to have scrum meetings and sprints and throw up ideas. So basically, what do we need to do to complete our project? We need this and this and this and this. And you list it out and you decide how much time are we going to need to complete all of those things. Great. Let's take on these 15 tasks, folks, and we'll finish by Friday. And Friday comes and you got through 7. You're like, why didn't we finish it all? It's like, ooh, good lesson to learn because you took on too much. So this next week, let's really monitor that. Your first group project, hey, it's a trial. You're cloning something. And it's actually going to be pretty good too, because by that point, you're good, regardless of where you come from, who you are, what your education or work experience is, you're good. And you guys learn how to work on a project as a group. After that 2-week project, you go on to your final project. Your final project is real world experience. So the last month, 4 weeks of the course, you and your group are building or enhancing software for a real company. Some previous companies we've built with and worked with some cybersecurity companies. For security reasons, I can't say who they are, ha ha ha. But Fitbit, Offer One, Rock My Run, Trim, Vault, a bunch of things. So in this case, I know personally, with Vault, that was an automation system for firefighters to track when they have inhaled smoke. It's real. It's actual software that our students built out. With Trim, it's going to be launched pretty soon. It is Uber for barbers. Seriously, folks, you don't have to wait in line at the barber shop anymore. They will come to your house soon. Our students built the app. Rock My Run is a fitness app, and our students built out the initial prototype of a chat bot physical trainer. It's like your personal trainer in the apps can tell you how to work out and stuff. It's real. It's launching. You will build real software for a local company as your final project. So when you're asked in an interview, hey, but that's great, you can do this stuff. What have you actually done? Well, I built this. You've done a real work by the time you finish with us. Then you get a job. This is a picture from our job fair last Thursday. We had it as like a speed dating sort of deal. So you had guaranteed 5 minutes at least with each of these companies looking to hire. And then from that point, you're handing resumes, having a great conversation, and setting up a second interview, okay? We focus on job preparation throughout the entire course. From day one, with pair programming and learning how to pass coding tests, how to work through them, how to do a good job. Interview prep, that's even like your first week. It might be a little bit overwhelming, your first day or two, but hey, it's good. It's something that we're doing every week. We also hire an HR consultant to come in and do mock interviews with you to really touch up those interviews. And then we have job fairs. This is the point where you're meeting real employers who are going to reach out to you and set up interviews. And then, hey, day one on the job. Let us know how you're doing once you get started. And then, once you've been there for a bit, please be a guest speaker at Origin, or like Christian, come on over since you work remotely and help us out on this webinar event.
That's right.
But
I'm grateful to be here and be able to help out.
We didn't have job fairs when you finished.
No, not when I finished. That is a new thing. You're right.
So, Christian, you're part of the first group of students who came through here?
I was the third cohort.
Oh, you're in the third group of students. Okay.
Yeah, so.
But, I mean, we have job fairs now, which has been in the works for a bit, and they're going on every month. But let's go to like your first day on the job. So you had no experience as a software developer. You've been in customer service. You knew like Microsoft Excel, like we all do, basic kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And after taking the course, like how comfortable did you feel? Well, let me not even put an adjective in there. Like how did you feel during the job interview and then your first day on the job?
Whew. Wow. So it's like I said, it's been a year. There was a day. So we didn't have the job fair in Origin, but we did have interview prep, and we had guest speakers of headhunters. What do you call them? Recruiters.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Recruiters. In these bigger companies, but I'll never forget the interview day because the interview prep day because the day I went in for my interview at the job that I actually got, it was sort of like deja vu. It was like exactly the I remember they recommended here at Origin. They said if they offer you water, take the water. It's a sign of confidence. And I was, nervous, a little nervous, but I just tried to remember that I'm a junior and I know what I know. You know what I mean? And I know if they didn't, I knew I was prepared for if I didn't have the answer to a question. But anyways, they offered me water. I said yes. I went through and they asked similar questions to what they asked here. I did several interviews where they had code tests where I had to actually sit there and actually sat through a 5-hour code test one time and just gave it my best shot. And just unfortunately, it was in a language and it was just I took it as good experience. You know what I mean? It was a language I wasn't familiar with. But so this interview, they didn't give me a code test, but they liked me, and that's another thing. I guess it is a lot about personality and culture fit these days.
Yeah, but how did you feel like when you actually started the job?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
how did
day
that
one.
feel? Like, did you feel you knew enough on the job? Did you feel?
Well, they did. They made me. They made me pretty comfortable. I mean, I guess I will be honest and say that after a 3-month, crash course just of being loaded with this info, yeah, I had doubts, but day one of my job was sort of like day one at Origin, and it was except I knew how to code now. But it was getting set up with the technology, getting set up with their routine and how they did their meetings in the morning and how they did, you know what I mean, and their schedule for the week. And it was just like learning the schedule for Origin. So pretty much like deja vu. I don't know. It was cool. It was like, okay, I've kind of seen this before. I've been around software developers. These people talk the same. They're using the same lingo. I don't know. Like I could fit in. You know what I mean? I could feel all right there. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, we've incorporated a lot since you finished the course. Like the blended learning we've been running for a few months now. So we didn't have a lot of what we're providing now. So it's even more relevant to the work experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something else that's kind of interesting. And sorry, but it's a little bit better now. We've learned that we want to really make sure you're prepared for the first day on the job. But even in the beginning, in the third cohort, it was working out really well. So that's the other thing is like when you finish, hey, you're ready for the job. Be confident, go confidently, go forth and prosper sort of deal. So these are the next steps. If this is something that you find interesting, if you've sat through this entire webinar, or even if you skip to the end and it's recording, and you'd like to come in and find out more, hey, let's set up a date and time for a first appointment. As you can see, you've got a couple options. You can apply. Just go ahead and apply. See if you can start. If you really think this is something that's good for you, click the apply button. I will reach out to you like right away with an email, and you can schedule a time to meet with me. If you're not ready to apply, if you can see the little image right up there at the top, it says schedule a tour. Hey, just schedule a time, come check us out. admissions process works is have a first appointment. If you've applied, let's do the first interview. If it's a tour, casually, either way, the first appointment is for you, me, and us, and really get a feel for what does Origin Code Academy do. Heard the webinar, I've heard all this talk. Let me actually hear from someone besides Ryan and Christian. I can't see their faces right now. Come down, check us out. Really come with questions, come curious, come finding out a lot more. Really casual experience. Come on down and check us out. If you really want to do this, at the end, if you're thinking, yes, this is for me, I can absolutely put in the time. I know how to read and write, so I can be a software developer too, which can be anybody. I really want to do this. We'll set up a second interview. We don't require coding tests. We don't require experience, any of that stuff. We just ask a few qualifying questions, really looking for 3 qualities that employers are telling us they're looking for in hiring a junior software developer. Number 1, curiosity, a willingness to learn, and to some degree, a passion for this. So with us, it's, are you really looking to learn? Are you looking to really absorb the material? Like, I want to learn something new to have a real skill set for the long term? Great. Number 2, they want you to have collaboration skills. They want you to be able to work with other people. So when I was young, the computer programmers were like, nerdy people who couldn't talk to other people and would sit and, by themselves, and it doesn't fly anymore. You need to be able to work in group projects, work with other people. Or Christian, like you said, they liked you in the company that you're working for now, right?
That's right. They asked me questions. They asked me, what I'd like to do, and they wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to conversate and stay in keep communication, especially working remotely now. It's extremely important that I'm able to check in with them daily and be able to communicate.
Yeah, and that's something I noticed. Like, even in our recent job fair, a lot of the first questions, like, what food do you like? Can you cook? What do you do for fun? Like, really want to get to know you as a person, because ultimately, you're a software developer. You're valuable to your company, and they want to take care of you. They want to get along with you. They want you to be there for a while. So having collaboration skills, you can work well with others, is huge. And then finally, the third quality is work ethic. Software development is not always just 9 to 5, yeah?
That's right.
For the most part, yes, it is like a typical work schedule, but sometimes they might ask you to work late or take on some more project work, right?
That's right. And sometimes, sometimes you have to deploy things late at night when maybe you don't have users on your website, or, like I've had to set my alarm for midnight and get on and do some work about midnight. But for me, it's kind of fun. I have a job. And I feels good.
Yeah. So having good work ethic. Are you going to be on time for work? Is it from time to time, like some of the guest speakers we've had who are CTOs, hiring managers, and things, come by and their advice is like, yeah, typically we don't want to overwork our people, but from time to time we need to learn the new framework, or we have a little bit extra work. Can you work a few extra hours this week, or could you maybe work a little bit on the weekends from time to time? Having that ability to be like, yeah, I'm willing to do this, is huge. So basically, it's, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to work with other people? And do you have a good work ethic? If you fit those qualities, we really want you to be one of our students, because we know you're going to have a successful career that will help you launch very, very soon. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end. I'm going to stop screen sharing and go back to the video. For those of you watching, that's Christian.
Hey,
He's
everybody.
been talking to you. And I am Ryan, and now is the time to raffle off the Xbox. It is here. I'm holding it. I'm going to give it away to one of you. Like I said, we had 8 individuals register for this, and so hopefully you're watching right now. And what's going to happen is I'm going to assign a number to you, and I'm going to share the screen in a minute. We're going to do a random number generator, then we're going to wrap up. But we have Johnny, Graciel, Alicia, Graciel, Marks, Kyle, Rick, Dante, Alfredo, and Evodio. So I'm going to assign a number to each of you. And so I'm going to say, Johnny, you're number 1. Gracielle, you're number 2. Marks, you're number 3. Rick, you're number, oh, sorry, Kyle. Kyle, you're number 4. Rick, you're number 5. Dante, you're number 6. Alfredo, number 7. Evodio, you're number 8. I'm going to pull up the random number generator. And if your number is randomly called 3 times, the first one to get to 3 wins the Xbox. Are you ready? Go back to screen share. Share my screen. And random number generator is here. Okay. It's just Google. And we have number 1 through 8. There's 8 of you. So I'm going to click this number and let's see. First number is 5. So that is 1 for Rick. 4. It's 1 for Kyle. 8. 1 for Evodio. 1 for Johnny. Ooh, 3 for Marks. 7, Alfredo. 2, Gracielle. Ooh, almost everyone's got 1. 5 again for Rick. Ooh, Rick's got 2. 7 again, Alfredo. 8 again, Evodio. Number 1, Johnny. All right, we're close. We might have a winner this next one. Number 3, ooh, Marks, that's 2. The tension's building. Number 8 again is the winner. All right, that is that. So, what does that mean? It means that our winner is Evodio. I am going to send you an email, just in case you're not watching, and let you know. You have won this Xbox. It is yours. Just got to come and get it. I'll send you an email. I'll give you a call tomorrow, or feel free to email me or call me, and we'll set up a time for you to come down and pick up the free Xbox. That's all for us this evening on our Career Night webinar with Origin Code Academy. I'm Ryan again, admissions manager. That's Christian again, one of our former students and current software developers. So until next time, we will have this again next month. We will raffle off another Xbox next month. So stay tuned. We'll be advertising that. And thank you very much for joining us this evening. Have a good night.